Welcome to my hometown, our Boomtown, with me, Tommy Davidson, where we discuss lifestyle, business, and real estate. Today, we're going to talk more real estate because of the guest I'm going to have. The guest is John Jones, who owns John Jones Real Estate. But don't worry, most of my shows, I'm going to involve all of them, so a lot of people were a little bit concerned that it's going to be a real estate specific show. It will not be. But today, I had to bring my mentor on who has taught me more than anything about business. So when we come back from our little break, I'm going to bring back in the legend, the king of Rutherford County real estate himself, John C. Jones. Stay tuned. Welcome back to segment 2 with me, Tommy Davidson, and the big guy himself, John C. Jones. Big guy, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, Tommy, for your first show.
It is my first show.
I'm honored.
And who else could I have gotten on this show other than you?
Well, Michael Jordan maybe, and then
you were the most reachable guest.
I got you.
That I could get a hold of.
Well, thank you.
A lot of people know John from his, I don't want to call him famous, but he has a huge presence in our market. He is a big-time entrepreneur, but I want to talk to John about his earlier days when there was a little bit more of a struggle. And we want to share with some of his pain. And we've all been through some pain, especially us in real estate. When we talk about 2008, it's pretty painful. But we're going to start earlier in your life. You were fortunate enough to have a mother and a father that were both entrepreneurs. Do you think that has positioned you better than a lot of other people? How has that helped your business?
That's a great question. I've thought about that often over the last several years. When you're a kid, you don't know any different. You just know, your norm is basically what your parents give you. That's the norm. And like you said, I had two parents. My mother owns a retail store here in the area and still owns it since I was 3 years old. She opened that business, and my father was in commercial real estate, so he was a commission-based salesperson and had his own company for years. And so I didn't know any different. And I do think it definitely gave me a distinct advantage to go into commission-based sales at a young age. I've met a lot of people over the years who have a lot of fear of doing that, and a lot of times if you peel back the onion, they grew up in a household maybe where Dad said, hey, you need to work for a company for 30 years and get that safety and security.
Right.
And so I could definitely see that where that was a benefit to me.
Well, I would say you are probably, if not the best salesperson I've ever been around, you're definitely one of them. And
thank you.
You're welcome. But what was it that led you to get into real estate?
I guess real estate was a natural fit because I had family in the business. My father, although I really didn't pay much attention growing up, it's not like I studied it or anything like that. In fact, I tell the story, my first closing, I didn't even know what to do. I had to call one of the other agents in the office and say, hey, what am I supposed to do? But Howard Wall, who is one of my mentors, is my uncle. He owned a real estate company, and he kind of reached out and gave me a lot of confidence as a young person. I remember in high school, he would ask, will you come work for me one day, and that kind of thing. And so I guess that's why real estate was what I opted into.
Well, we're going to get to some mentor questions a little bit later in the show.
Okay.
But,
sorry about that.
Well, that's okay, big guy. Tell us this. What were some of the biggest fears? Because you come across as a very confident guy. Right. Everywhere we go, you are always the life of the party. Everyone is very drawn to you. But what type of fears did you have when you were coming? You were a star employee at State Farm, if I read your biography correctly.
Right.
And so what were your big fears as you got into this?
My biggest fear, and I think fears, everybody has fears, and I had a lot of them. At 24 years old, starting in real estate, my biggest fear was I'm too young. People aren't going to trust me. I don't own a home, but I'm going to try to sell people homes. Those were fears that kind of consumed me those first couple years.
Was that pretty easy to get over? Did you start selling some stuff?
Yeah, once you start having some small victories, you sell that first house, it gives you confidence, and just
Right.
getting your confidence built up was definitely. But I still have fears today.
But when I see you today,
Mm-hmm.
everything comes very simple to you. I don't know if I've ever seen you in any type of a situation where you didn't have a solution for our client's problem. But I'm sure back in those days, 25, 26, maybe 27 years old, were there ever any times where you just got so down that you just thought, this isn't for me?
I don't know if I ever got so down that like I thought about quitting or anything like that, but I definitely had some down days. I can remember one instance or one story where I was probably about 25 at the time, and I was an eager young agent, and some people, close kind of family friends, who were very financially stable, had chosen me to try to help them find a farm. And I mean, when I say I did everything, when they said run, I came running. When they said jump, I said how high. I can remember they would be looking at farms, and they would call me and say, "Hey, John, we want to look at this farm." And I would say, "When will you be available?" And they would say, "Well, we're out here right now." And I mean, I put down everything and go show it to them. And I can remember a few weeks later, I had heard where they had bought a really large farm, and didn't use me, and so it crushed me. But I guess one thing that God has given me is the ability to I don't typically hold grudges,
Right.
I'm real good about moving forward to something positive, and I think that's just something that has helped me, because I've seen a lot of realtors just let the negative beat them down.
Right. Well, back to that incident with where the farm people bought through someone else. Did you learn anything through that? Was there anything that you made a change, or was it just one of those things where you're like, these things are going to happen? They still happen to us today.
Yeah.
And was there anything that you changed?
I don't know if I definitely, I can't remember changing something right away, but I do know that things like that led me to change and how to become more controllable, or control my clients better, and how I talk to clients.
Now, you have preached that to me from
Right.
day one, to be in control
Right.
of any transaction. And it probably came from instances like that at an
Right.
early age.
Right.
So thank you for
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember any real breakthroughs that you had at this age that has helped you get to the top? Was there anything where you're like, this happened to me, and bam, next thing I know, I'm moving in the right direction?
Absolutely. Probably my biggest breakthrough was probably around 98, 99. By that time I'd been in the business about 6 or 7 years, and I was going 90 to nothing, 60 to 80 hours a week. I was just a solo practitioner at that time in this area. That's all there was. The team concept hadn't hit our area yet, so we only knew what we knew. And so I can remember being in the office one day, November, Saturday, rainy, cold day, kind of a miserable day. I had been at the office for about an hour waiting on an appointment, an hour prior prepping for that appointment, and then waited an hour. So I was up there 2 hours. I think we just had our first child. So the appointment didn't show. I was basically just, at my wit's end, because I wasn't doing a good job of balancing home and work. And I just remember saying in my head, there's got to be a better way.
But at this time, I'm sure you were a very successful real estate agent, and you had people
Sure.
looking at
Yeah.
you probably thought, man, John
Yeah.
Jones has things going on.
Yeah, I was doing pretty well, and better than I ever thought I would do, but I was still struggling because I was trying to do everything by myself, and I was, as you know, the real estate transaction has a bunch of components. To be a
Right.
successful agent, there's a lot of things that go into it, and there's different components require different strengths. I was really good at some of those things, like networking and prospecting and working with the clients, but I was terrible at
Yeah.
the paperwork. I was terrible at mail outs and putting things in the MLS correctly and ordering things and getting things set up, the detail work. And so I was struggling. I was just at a point where it wasn't any fun. And that's when I got online. This internet was brand new, so I don't even know how in the heck I found anything online, but I found something online that really kind of changed my life, and that was a training company called Star Power.
Mm-hmm.
And what Star Power did was allow me to learn from others. It's a company that basically a guy by the name of Howard Britton set up. God rest his soul. He's no longer with us, but he would interview a top producing agent throughout the country every week and every month, and would sell that tape to general practitioners in the industry like myself.
And those people were called stars.
Stars. Thus the name Star Power.
And you, I guess, in 2005 or 6, sorry to get us off topic, but John was a star in 05.
I think it was 05.
05. John Jones became a star. I don't know if there was many people around here that were a star, or I don't even know if they were on that circuit, but John was a star. So keep going. I'm sorry.
So anyway, I got involved with Star Power, I compare it a lot to like football coaches, high school football coaches going to coaching clinics and learning from the best. But there wasn't anything set up like that in real estate that I knew of. So I started going to their conferences, ordering their tapes. These people all across the country who were out doing very well were just sharing everything that they knew.
So you had access to people that were at the top of their craft, and you could kind of go steal some ideas, and you brought them back. And the moving truck, the John Jones moving truck that we still use today, I'm sure.
It was something I stole from one of those guys. And it just even more than that, obviously you stole a lot of great stuff that was working. What I found out, if it works for somebody in Dayton, Ohio, pretty good chance it's going to work for somebody in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So that, but also what it did, it changed my belief system. Mm-hmm. That's when I first started learning about teams and assistants and those things. And these people, by actually out there doing it, gave it so much credibility. Mm-hmm. And I was able to really believe in it. Oftentimes, as you know, we'll go hear real estate trainers someplace, but it's some 55, 60-year-old guy.
Maybe they haven't done
it. And you're wondering, did they really ever sell? You know what I'm saying? And so it gave it so much credibility.
Well, that brings me to this. And this, I'm really trying to appeal to people that are not at your success level yet, but maybe they want to get there. What does your mindset need to be? Because I would say you're very open to learning and bringing new ideas. So what would you tell the people that are starting off in their entrepreneurial journey? What does their mindset need to be like? Because I know you were a big reader. When you go into John Jones' office, he's got tons of books. So tell me what does your mindset need to be successful in no matter what business that you pick? If you're an entrepreneur, how does your mindset need to be?
That's a great question. I think the best entrepreneurs that I've ever met were entrepreneurs that didn't have fear of failure. They're willing to step out there. They had a high belief in themselves, and then they also were curious. They were also usually readers, where they listen to tapes, learning from people that can inspire you, people that have done great things. And I think if you fill your mind with that positive stuff every day, whether it's a book about Abraham Lincoln, or Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Michael Burt, whoever.
Michael J. Burt, our very own.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. If you're putting stuff like that in your mind every day, you will become what you focus on.
I definitely agree with that. Well, guys, we're burning up in here with these lights. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Segment 3 with my good buddy, John C. Jones. John, picking up where we left off, you have taught me so much about improving myself. So I've been open to things, and you almost stole this question right out from under me in segment 1 or 2. But tell us, who were some of the mentors that have shaped you to who you are today?
Well, I obviously would have to say, first off, my parents, Johnny and Jane Jones. because they're going to shape you whether you want them to shape you or
That's
not.
right.
Okay, but they were both entrepreneurs and willing to take a chance. So start there. Howard Wall would be there. He was my uncle and my broker. Howard is one of the most charismatic
Oh man,
guys I've ever met.
legend in this town.
But he owned a brokerage company that I started with. He also believed in training. He truly believed in pouring in and investing into the people that he hired. And not many brokers did that back then. They just kind of gave you a desk and a phone and said, "Go get them, kid." And the naturals would come through, and others wouldn't. Then John Floyd with Old South Homes, who's the largest home builder in the state.
You and John to this day are very close. You have a very close relationship.
John's an awesome guy. John has built an incredible company, but John is a very giving and generous guy. And when I first started, our offices were next to each other. And anytime I had a question, he would help me. And he didn't have to. I mean,
Right.
and I really wouldn't hurt my feelings if he didn't. He was a busy guy. But he took time and poured into me.
Was
at a
there
very young
something
age.
about being next to John? Was his the way he thought? Was it just bigger? Did that kind of help you, or
You know,
did you even think about that?
That's a great question, but I'm a big believer that you're the average. You're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. And I think at an early age, being around a Howard Wall and being around a John Floyd and being around those guys elevated my mindset, elevated my belief system more than it would have if I'd been stuck in an office with 4 other guys who were starting out too.
Well, taking you back to that time, do you remember, was there a really big goal that you set for yourself and that you hit?
That's funny. I can remember when my goal was to make $5,000 a month. That I remember that as a goal, and then I remember when that goal was $10,000 a month. Then I remember that goal. I remember a goal that I had one time was trying to sell a home every day, and when we had our team set up
Every day.
Yeah, so 365 homes a year, and we hit that in 2006.
Glory days.
The glory days, no doubt. So, yeah, I've had goals along the way. Those are just a few little milestones I remember hitting.
Now that's important. I feel like with younger people or people that are just starting in the business, it's really so much of this game is about your mind, and I'm lucky to have somebody like him that has helped shape my mind. If I didn't have him, I don't know what I'd have been exposed to. So I'm very, very grateful for that. John has one of the most amazing people in his life. Her name is Tracy Jones. She's an amazing mother, wife, and I would say she has been a great influence with the stability. Tell me what that has added to your life to have someone like that has helped you through so many difficult times.
Man, that's a great question, and you're right. She is amazing. And I guess right as you were saying that, I started reflecting back on how many times I've probably taken her for granted. Because I truly feel like God placed her in my life, and because she's been my biggest encourager. She's always there for support. And Tracy has the most unbelievable gift of discernment. And when I'm veering off in any direction, she almost, now sometimes I don't want to hear it. As a man, I don't want to hear it. But 90% of the time, she's dead on. She's nailed it. And she really knows nothing about like our business. I mean, she doesn't really know a whole lot about that, but yet she can jump in there and tell me what's going on. If I bring home a certain customer issue or a certain personnel issue or employee issue, she can pretty much jump in there and figure it out.
No, she is a very godly person. So I bet you she probably gets you on a road that's coming from love, from the heart, in a godly perspective, if I had to guess.
She's been the biggest reason that God's in my life. And, I was thinking about this yesterday. It's funny. It's ironic you should bring this up. But I started driving down the road. I was thinking about our 4 children. And I was thinking about all the great things about our 4 children. And I felt like she was responsible for almost all the great things about our children. You know, because she's the one that's been there. I feel like I've really, like, I haven't done my part in a way, because all the great things about the children, our children, are what she has done. You know, I don't know that I've done that much.
Well, I'm sure you have.
Well, I know, but I mean, it's amazing. The woman's amazing.
She is amazing. But let me ask you this. I bet you have seen people that if they would have had a Tracy Jones in their life, they probably could have gotten ahead. So, not that I'm promoting marriage or saying anything like that, but I would say a stable influence can really put you on the right track. I bet you've seen a lot of people. Hey, he could probably point at me and say, me, Tommy Davidson.
If there's any Tracy Joneses out there, this guy's available. And he needs you. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, the 2008 is
I got him shook up.
2008 is a very painful topic for most everyone that's in real estate, any type of business. When that fall of 2008 is talked about, the buyouts, all the things that went down, that can be a very painful time to talk about. But in 2008, the fall, I think it was October 1st, John had the best idea ever. We were going to move out of Coldwell Banker, and we moved into John Jones Real Estate. I would say since that time, we've had a lot of painful times. Now, it is better today, but
Sure.
you know, I love the stories of where people have overcome things. And I remember how bad it got for me in 2009. Early in 2009, it was horrible. But you gave me the confidence every day that we were going to get through it. If I didn't have you, I don't know how I would have gotten through it. But I never have really talked to you about how you were feeling. You know, being an employee, you're just selfish. You want. And, you know, I was probably coming to you wanting more money while you're sitting there going through who knows what. But what was it like? Tell the people that, you know, it's not just glitz and glamour of owning your own business. I mean, you probably went through a lot of sleepless nights.
Well, just to go back, 07's when we decided to build the building and open the company. So,
y'all told me a little late.
Well, no, 07 is when we decided to do it. And times were still pretty daggum good. We didn't know what was about to come down in 08. By the time the building gets finished, it's October 1, 2008. We move in. There was no looking back. And September of 08 is when the bailout hit. And everything just kind of stopped. It was kind of crazy. And then 08, 09, 10, 11, even 12, I guess you could say. Although 12, it started getting a little better. Yeah, it was painful, man. I don't know how we got there. God got me through it. The truth of the matter is, I humbled myself to God and made Him, as I should every day of my life, but I just totally depended on God. And I can tell you some crazy stories. We don't have enough time right now, where He showed up in big ways, man, big ways, and got us through it. But all I knew to do, and all God kept telling me to do, was, you know what, be strong and keep helping people. And we kept doing it, and it wasn't the funnest business in the world.
No, it was not.
I mean, I can, heck, you go meet with 500. I told somebody, I said this a lot. For about 3 or 4 years, I never met with one happy seller. I mean, you were going into their house, telling them that their house had dropped, 20%.
Get a loan to close.
Yeah.
We don't have to give you money.
You have money to bring to the closing table. I mean, that doesn't go over well. And it was a lot of tough times with people. But you know what? We still made it. And I remember, how many people did we meet with over those years? We were going out to sell their home because they had lost a job. They couldn't make their payments. I mean, it was a great reminder every day that, yeah, we got it bad, but we don't have it as bad as some.
But you were in a position different from other people because you were a real estate agent, a real estate owner of a company, but you were involved in a lot of big deals. And during this time, land deals, developments, which looked so good years before that, you're sitting there and we couldn't sell lots.
Yeah.
So you had so many things coming on top of you. Did you ever think, this is a big mistake, I've messed up?
I thought that a lot. I used to, I'd wake up at night thinking about it. I really would. And I I laugh about being in the fetal position in my closet, but it was like that. But when you're in the development business and lots are selling, it is a beautiful business. But when you're in the development business and lots aren't selling and banks are wanting their interest every month and you're having to still pay the taxes and you're still having to cut the grass and maintain the place, it just feels like your world's caving in.
Well, the reason why I'm talking about this is I want to talk to the people who, whatever situation you're in right now, it can be temporary. It can be fixed. This guy and me, we're living proof of 2008, 2009, 10. It kept getting worse for some of the developers. But if you just hang in there and fight through this, you can pretty much get through anything. Or that's the way I feel. I'm sure you feel
we had
the
to
same way.
we had to figure out a way. The market was totally different than what it was during the good times, but there was still a market. There were still people that needed help, and it wasn't the funnest work in the world, like helping somebody with a short sale, helping people, just sell to investors and rental properties and things like that weren't really high end sales compared to what we were used to.
Right.
We just did it. We just did what the market would allow us to do. We worked within that market.
Well, to go into a happier note, since we've gotten through that, it looks like we can't see the future, but is there a moment since you've opened that company, other than keeping me there 13 years, is there just a very grateful moment that stands out in your mind that just stands out above anything else?
Since I've owned my own company, or just
We're going to talk about since 2008.
Okay. Yeah,
Your company, John Jones Real Estate.
I guess, it's probably not just one instance. It's seeing guys like yourself. Tommy, I can remember when you were at this level of production, and now seeing you here, and just seeing
John
you own
nicknamed
rental
me. He nicknamed me 10 o'clock Tommy in 2006 or something.
That's when he would show up. It was at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock Tommy.
But and then he'd take lunch about 11. But just watching you, watching your growth personally, professionally, physically. Other guys that have worked for us.
We have had some. You have brought in
Tom Cribbs.
Tom Cribbs
Is an excellent.
Stephen Taylor. Leanne Bedsole.
Those guys that have.
You have brought in a lot of people.
Joe
Hafner. Leanne, Stephen Taylor, myself, Tom Cribbs. We were not in the business. You personally recruited us, and we started working for you. And I mean, you have totally made a huge difference in all of I'm sure they would all attest to the same thing, but you have been a springboard for so many people that has come into your life. David Estes.
Right.
He came there. So there's been a lot of great relationships.
And all those guys, people ask me all the time, do you hate it when you lose somebody like that? And, the truth of the answer is, yeah, you do hate it, because from a selfish standpoint, you know how valuable they are to your company. But also, you're happy to see them go out and have success on their own. And it helps you feel like you might have been a part of it.
You have gotten a lot better just watching when someone says, I'm going to move on to something. The way things went down with Joe Hafner, who is very good friends of both of ours, and he still partners with you, and he was with you 15 years, and you both handled that so well. When people leave, you are very supportive, whereas in the beginning, it probably hurts your feelings a lot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just a genuine interest that you have in the people, and you support them, and,
I want to see them. I do want to see them do well, because, I mean, it's a compliment. Like, some people I've lost over the years were recruited out by big builders or other companies, and it's kind of like, I think, a NFL team maybe losing a great offensive coordinator, to go be a head coach somewhere else. I mean, if you're doing the right things at your company and you're helping people succeed, they're probably not going to be with you forever. There's some people that believe in our concept, and there's some people that want to do it on their own, and there's some people that, for whatever reason, want to leave. So, we're in a unique business where we all still have to work together. So there's no sense in me, being upset about it. I mean, that's not going to help me or that person.
That's right. Well, he's not going to say this, but I will say this. If you're looking to get into real estate, or if you're in real estate and John Jones calls you up and wants to talk to you, it's in your best interest to listen to what the guy has to say. We're going to wrap our first show up. And thank you for tuning in, John. Thank you for
having me,
being my first guest
proud of you, buddy.
on my hometown, our Boomtown. Guys, look for our second show in April. Thank you, Michael Burt, for this opportunity.